All right. Hello, everyone. This video is a really long time coming. I've been working on this for the past couple months, so I'm really excited to be finally sharing it. So it is true what you heard. AI is improving at basically a faster rate than any of us are. And this technology is not going to go away, and no amount of lawsuits is going to stop people from kind of using the tool, even if these larger companies, are maybe stopping their work a little bit. It's definitely still going to be a thing, and people can use this tool on their own machines. So there's no escaping it at all. There's pretty much nothing that anyone can do about it. And if we're not taking steps to ensure that we're not obsolete, it's pretty clear that even the most skilled artists are soon going to be struggling to keep their careers. But yeah, trust me when I say that we're not going to be obsolete. In fact, I believe that artists have a better chance at being recognized for their craft than we ever have before. And I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this technology and playing around with it, even before it became a little bit more commonplace. It all started with this site called Art Breeder. And I don't know if any of you are familiar, but it basically just kind of showed mashing two images together in, that classic AI way that we're all very familiar with now. But you could kind of trace the remnants back to the original images very easily on this site. And it was really, really clear even then that this technology was going to completely change the way that we look at art and the way that we create it. And I think that today AI art can kind of pretty much produce an image that looks more visually composed and more stunning than, I would say, 90% or more of artists out there today. And I think that AI writing is a little bit farther behind, but I do believe that it's writing probably at a college or high school level, which I think is pretty promising. And maybe there's plagiarizing in there, but that is what I would expect from a high school student. So it's about there. And it's not surprising that we're pretty concerned, especially because non-artists are using this thing to create like amazing images by inputting artists' names, which just feels so wrong. And there's a lot of morality to unpack here, but it is definitely easy to feel like our genuine artwork is kind of losing its value. So listen to me, because I am going to break a very hard truth here. Your art is not worth anything. It never had any value. And that's actually nothing new. There's a very good reason that there's like an all-white painting hanging in a museum that sold for $2 million. And there's like photorealistic, beautiful paintings that are just at the Goodwill for 99 cents. The final product is not worth anything. It's never been what art was about. People don't buy art. They invest in the artist. That means who you are, your story, your values, your mission. These are the things that are going to make your work mean something to people, and it's going to be what they pay for in the end. So we're kind of being forced to face this truth that we tried for a long time to ignore, that just being able to create a beautiful picture doesn't make us great artists, and it never has. But there is a very clear path forward, I believe, and it has nothing to do with getting better at art. You're welcome to increase your skills as much as you want, obviously, but I don't think that is going to be the key here. I think every day that AI art gets better, it becomes more clear that that is not going to be a differentiating factor for us. But believe it or not, I do think that this AI phenomenon has kind of made it easier for us to become great artists if we are dedicated, and not in the way that you might think. I'm not going to talk at all about using the tool itself. This is just about approaching a world where this tool exists and thriving as an artist with a career as an artist. All right, sorry, my camera stopped recording, but here's why I believe that now is the ideal time to be an artist. And I think that there is a huge opportunity there for those who choose to seize it. And the first point is that there are about to be a lot less artists out there. And I think this all comes down to people thinking, why should they take the time to understand, light and color and composition when this tool can paint a masterpiece in a second? I think people are going to not really want to learn the fundamentals. We're going to see more drop off in young artists who just opt for the button clicking instead of, taking the time to actually learn how art is done. And I think even intermediate artists might feel disillusioned by AI or just kind of decide to choose a different career path because they don't see a future in art. And I think that if you're actually dedicated to art and you have some skills and you love the process of it, you are about to be a very rare breed. And my second point is that art lovers, people who go online and they just want to follow artists, maybe they draw art, maybe they don't, but they are being bombarded with a bunch of fake crap all over the internet. The art flooding through from this AI is just meaningless garbage at this point, and users are already getting really tired of seeing it. And it's not going to stop. This is only going to increase as time goes on, and it's going to get more and more blah. And that kind of means that lesser known artists, indie artists, especially if you have a very unique style, will feel like a breath of fresh air in comparison to this jumble of popular styles. And that also means that styles are going to rotate more rapidly. And this has been happening for a long time, but it's about to increase a lot with digital art, and maybe even other forms of art. But definitely because of AI, we're going to be moving at lightning speed when it comes to rolling through styles. So if you have a unique style, that's going to stand out more than pretty much anything else. People are pretty much just becoming more desperate to see humanity behind artwork. And if you're really smart about this, this is where you can come in with kind of the most human work of all. And I'm going to walk you through that process. But the first point is to have a stance. The most human thing that you can possibly share with someone at any given moment is your unique perspective. And this seems really simple, but actually we are all taught at an early age to keep our opinions to ourselves, to not say anything unless it is positive. We're told that it's better to just not voice things that might alienate others or offend somebody. So a lot of us just don't do this. It's just not part of our lives. And obviously this was kind of important when we were in school and we had to sit in class every day with people that might live very differently than us. They might think very differently. And, we learned that it was better to just keep politics out of the workplace for that same reason. But that is just not how it works on the internet, because there is just an endless amount of people. And there are people that think like you, and there are people who would benefit from your point of view, and there are people who are going to disagree with you, and it's going to cause a little bit of conversation there, and that is a good thing. We're not in school anymore, and being an independent creator online is about to have a very different set of parameters than any other kind of workplace. And for some of us, it's going to be pretty hard to adapt. There's actually going to be a lot of people that just can't do this. You need to take some time to consider your core values in order to do this right. And you kind of need to analyze how those values got you the opinions that you have. And it means you need to be very brave about voicing those opinions. And I think the most key thing about this is that you do need to accept that you may very well be wrong, and you need to have an open mind, but you also need to state your opinions clearly and confidently. And yeah, you might get told off in the comments by some passionate person who disagrees with you. That's just going to raise engagement, let me point out. But you might even change your view entirely at some point in the future, maybe because of somebody commenting and pointing out a fallacy in your logic or something like that. And that's okay. That's kind of what this is all about. And I know that some of you are going to be very concerned about cancel culture, and you're going to be like, no, I cannot have an unpopular opinion or I will be canceled. And I understand where you're coming from, and that is one reason that you will stand out a lot if you're willing to do this. A lot of people are scared of doing this right now, or for the past few years have been. But I want to assure you that it is actually not possible to be canceled on the internet. We've seen this a million times. It's possible to be fired by your boss because of things that happened on the internet if you have a boss. But if you don't, if you're planning on being a creator online and you're planning on making that your business, especially if you're an online artist, I think that you should hope for this. You are going to have to take a stance in order to stand out. And that usually means doing something that people are not going to like, that at least, some people are not going to like. And so you have to kind of understand that you might be quote unquote canceled. It's not going to stop you from finding your people, and it's not going to stop you from making content. And chances are you're not going to do anything as bad as the internet celebrities that actually got canceled, and they're still making money and doing just fine. Let me assure you. It is just not a real thing when it comes to having a career on the internet. Creators will always have their people. The internet is a very big place. And as long as you don't have a boss telling you what you can and can't think, and that are going to fire you for speaking your mind, which maybe you do. I understand some of us have day jobs, but that's another thing. If you are just working online, this is actually the best thing that you can do for your career, is taking a very strong stance so that you can find your people, so that you can have these conversations, so you can stir up a little bit of trouble and become a leader for people who either share your point of view, you change their mind on something, or maybe they identify with your transformation as you change your ideas. It's totally fine to change your ideas. The main point is that a machine does not take any stance on issues, and it will never have a lifetime of perspective to draw on when they're determining their values. A machine, it doesn't have personal taste. It's just making choices aligning accurately with the terms. So it doesn't have any input on what looks good. It's not aligning with its own concept of beauty or its own idea of how the world should work. So I'm going to go in a little bit on how to develop opinions. And I know that sounds like something that you don't need to be taught, but most people do not do this at all. And I didn't do this for a really long time. I used to always say that I don't have any opinions because, I felt so open-minded, and it's not necessarily something to be proud of. A lot of people also just assume opinions from whoever they're around. This person likes this candidate. They're my best friend, so I also like that candidate. I don't know. We just are very impressionable, and so sometimes we just adopt as truth some of the opinions of people around us. But we are creative people, so there's no excuse. We have to do better. We have to make our own opinions and make sure that it's coming from a place that we feel very secure in, our values. So the first step to doing this is to read everything, read all the time. If you're not reading regularly right now, just start. It's fun. I promise you, once you get into it, it is fun. If you don't like reading a book, get Audible. I use Audible all the time. I love it. The more information that you have, the more you can make informed decisions about your values, about your opinions, and form who you are and where your perspective is, where you're coming from. So you don't want to take everything that you read for granted, obviously, but you want to kind of use reading as a start point, a jumping off point. Question what you think about the content that you're reading constantly. Make connections for yourself. Even if you don't agree with it, ask yourself why you don't agree with it. And while you're doing this, consider what you value in others and in yourself, and what traits you value in the world. As you consume literature. Analyze how your values are reflected in how you're making judgments about the content. And then, of course, the way to analyze this best and to really, really dig at the truth of who you are is to write. And you want to be writing, making notes of all your observations while you're reading something all the time. When you're consuming anything, I highly recommend taking notes and just elaborating on those notes, not just, factual notes, but also like your opinions about that thing, what you believe, any ideas that sparked in you or connections that you made. There's a lot of tools that can help you do this. I'd love to dig into that at some point, but that's for another video. But yeah, this will all help you to kind of gain confidence in your thoughts. And eventually you will get to the point that you feel very comfortable sharing your values, your thoughts, your opinions with the world because you have thought about it extensively and you feel you've taken in enough information that you feel pretty secure in your beliefs. And again, this is a great time for you to be challenged. So if someone disagrees with you, this is a great opportunity to have a conversation with them, to learn even more, and to question your own ideas and values. You should always, always, always be questioning your values, but you should speak them confidently to the world. That is just where you are at right now. And my mild disclaimer, which, take with a grain of salt because it is my values, but I have to put it in here. And I personally believe that it is inherently wrong to attack a person or a group. So if your opinions have to do with attacking a group of people, or to use a person or a group as a means to your own personal end, your own agenda, if you will, I would urge you to reconsider sharing those beliefs online. And that's not just because of cancel culture. It's because I think it's truly one of the more evil things that you could do in this world. If you believe that voicing these opinions might harm people or dehumanize them, I would urge you against sharing them. And that's just my own personal beliefs. Obviously, I'm sharing it because I believe it's very important. All right, moving on to number 2, and that is to show your process. We freaking love seeing artists work. And honestly, even seeing the art AI work and like the process that it goes through for the ones that show that is pretty fun to watch. But every human being has their own unique process for creation, and watching an artist work has a tendency to just stop people in their tracks. If someone's on the side of the street drawing, there will be a crowd around them. It doesn't even matter if they're a super great artist. And art process videos on social media have been making huge numbers. And recently it shot up even more. And I fully expect that it is going to reach new heights in the next couple years. So the process is way more valuable than the finished product, which, as I said, I believe has absolutely no value. But if you have the means to take a video of your process and show it, definitely do it. It will change the game for you. And I do recommend it. I've been doing that more and more, and taking time to actually set up my camera, right, while I'm working, just so that I have the footage. You can edit it if you don't feel like posting it. That's your choice, but have the footage at least. But yeah, even if you can't do a video, even if you don't have the means to record, or you don't feel comfortable recording your process, you can find other ways to let people in on your creative process. So one way would be to share some of your favorite tools, share what tools you used for each individual piece, talk about what you're learning right now, show little snapshots of the work in progress. People love seeing sketches more than the finished product most of the time. Show the remnants of your process. So show some of the mess on your desk. Show, the bad sketches that you did to like plot out the piece, the thumbnail sketches. Try sharing a little bit of the process. It's time to kind of analyze and dig into your process and find something that's kind of fun and beautiful about your process itself and about the way that you create. And especially if you can find something that is not clear or obvious in the final product that maybe people didn't even realize you were doing, that is a great thing to show, and people will absolutely adore it. So moving on. Number 3 is to share your story. And we all love a good story, just like the process of a piece. Our entire lives have a story. And if you can have a really nice transformation, bonus points. People are going to absolutely adore it. So this is this is a core human trait. And I know that there are parts of our story that are kind of hard to share sometimes, and not everything needs to be public. But if you're stopping yourself from sharing your story because you don't think it's interesting, trust me when I say that it is, and you might just need to take some time to reflect on it and analyze it and dig in. Break your story down and learn to tell the story in an interesting way. And I'll walk you through how to get started on this, because I know it can be kind of complicated and maybe not even that fun for some people. Some of us have some parts of our story that we don't even want to think about. And I think it's important to at least do this privately, and then you can choose what you share at a later time. But first, what I would do is make a list of your greatest accomplishments in life. This is the fun part. And then make a list of your greatest failures. And notice that these are turning points in your life. And what I would do is put these together in a timeline and look out for major transformation plot points, major transformations that you've gone through. And just kind of separate yourself from it a little bit and think about how you might tell this person's story as if they were like a children's book character. How can you distill a meaningful message from your personal story and, make that story feel inspirational? And think about this stuff all the time and constantly be breaking down your own story and telling it to people. It's very easy to practice this because whenever you're meeting someone new, you can kind of choose something to tell them, a little tidbit. Make it short and sweet and still have a meaningful message somehow. I think just getting used to doing this is really, really important. I actually have a running Notion document set up with my personal story. It's got images there of like the things that are meaningful to me or that I have images attached, and I scan through it regularly. I add stuff when I remember stuff or when new stuff happens to me. So I highly recommend doing that. It really helps out. And it really gets rid of imposter syndrome because you realize that you've been through a lot and you're definitely qualified to speak on a ton of things, especially your own experience. So I highly recommend it. Be aware of your full story and share a simplified version with others. All right, moving on to number 4, show your lifestyle. And this sounds kind of similar to your story, but it's pretty different. So your lifestyle as a creative is actually something that people are very inspired by. A lot of people who maybe want to be an artist someday, or even if they don't, it's a very interesting and unique lifestyle in a lot of cases. And even if yours is not, it is still very beneficial to show aspects of your lifestyle to others. So start thinking of your whole life as kind of like a part of your art. People are going to want to know who you are, how you live, and kind of your why behind why you're creating this piece, whatever you're working on. They kind of want to hear about, what's going on with you so that they can tell others when they ask about maybe your art up on their wall. They want to have something to share. They want to share that they're inspired by, who you are as a person and your lifestyle. So there have been attempts at making fake AI celebrities, and the truth is that it has not worked out well, first of all, and it is just not profitable to fake an entire life. Like, not when we're just living our lives over here for free, right? Like, not for free, but definitely not as expensive as these AI celebrities. So consumers are also getting really good at spotting inauthentic content, and nothing seems more fake than these weird AI celebrities that pretend to be hip, and they are basically created by these giant companies, giant corporations. And you're over here like living an actual human life as an artist on your own. So recognize the gold that truly is and make sure that you're sharing it. It does not have to be glamorous. In fact, Nobody wants that anymore. Nobody wants to see rich people doing rich things anymore. It's been played to death and we're just tired of it. We want real people with relatable stories, with messes, with struggles. And I think everyone understands this at this point. But just a reminder, share your actual lifestyle. It's all we want to see. And it's just proof, again, that you are a real human, and that is what we are going to want to see. So I'm not asking you to like vlog or anything. You can if you want, but the more that you can let the audience in on who you are and what you're doing, how you actually live, the more authentic you will seem in your online presence. So just nothing's really off the table unless you want it to be. Share anything that you can, even things that aren't related to art. I really recommend it. And I'm trying to do that more and more too. And it is hard. It's hard to think, when you're just living your life, that you should turn it into content. And I don't think that we should just become content machines. That's not what this is about. But put the spotlight on yourself sometimes, and don't be afraid to show stuff that isn't glamorous or super inspiring. Like, show the real stuff. All right. So number 5 is making connections. And I want to talk a little bit about collaboration, not just about making friends, but making friends who you can create with. And believe it or not, we don't really create better work when we collaborate. That's not really the point here. It has nothing to do with the quality of the end result. It's more about creating, I guess the obvious answer is that it joins the audiences, right? That's why you would benefit. But why do audiences even want artists to collab? And I think it's a lot more about the love we have for one artist kind of amplifies if they're working with another artist that we like. We get so excited. It's really exciting to imagine them working together, and it kind of feels like the work was made especially for you because you're a fan that's right at the intersection of those two people. You feel seen as a fan. And maybe also you haven't learned about one of the artists and you find out about new artists. So there's a lot of reasons to collaborate with people, and I would definitely not ignore that. Make sure that you are making connections. And I think that the connections that I've made through the past years, just being a part of the social media art community, has really driven me to keep doing art. I don't think I would still be doing it if it weren't for all of you. It's been a main driving factor for me. So there's a lot of reasons to do it, but obviously it is something that AI is not going to do. It's not going to make friends. Maybe it'll make collabs. I guess that's kind of what AI art is anyways, but it's not going to have these genuine connections. And frankly, I don't really care about two AIs having a collab. I can't imagine ever caring about that. It doesn't feel quite as interesting. Even two companies having a collab, it doesn't have the same sparkle as two real, genuine people and imagining that they, had fun making something together. Reach out, connect, make friendships, collaborate with each other. The opportunities basically just multiply exponentially as you do this more and more. So it is worth it. Trust me. And I know that it's really tough for some of us. I really struggled making friends, back when I was a kid. I was literally the shy kid in the corner that everyone said was a vampire. So I get it. I didn't really make any friends until college. And even then, I just didn't really understand why. I struggled so much with understanding what I was doing wrong. And it turns out that learning to communicate with others and to make lasting friendships is basically just a learned skill, and you can only learn from doing. So remember that if you feel like you're not very good at making friends, you will be. You just need to do it. You need to be bad at it a little bit until you get good at it, and it's okay. Some people obviously seem to have a natural talent for it, and I've always been jealous of that, but it is something that anyone can improve in. So be brave and push outside your comfort zone a little. And if you are having trouble with this, think of it more like a job and not a social activity at first. And you'll have fun with it later on. But for example, you can just have a rule that you need to reach out to one new person a day. And that might sound a little daunting. So you can start smaller than that if you need to. But start small. Start with like small people online, or maybe even people who already follow you, and just reach out. And I would always start with saying something complimentary, and just think of it as making someone else's day. And nothing more than that. Just think about trying to make someone's day a little bit better. And I think that that's a really good place to start from. The goal is to stop thinking so much about your own insecurities and start thinking about how you might ease someone else's insecurities. That's how you get over social anxiety. And I feel like I had a really crippling case of social anxiety. So trust me when I say this. And I know that it's really easy to feel overwhelmed and discouraged by just how fast everything is changing right now with AI. And I just kind of want to tie this up with the fact that you are a lot more than just a pretty picture machine. You're not just an art creator. You are a person. You are an artist. And there's a lot that goes into that is a lot more than just your gallery of images. And you already have everything that you need to win the war against the machines. Because at the end of the day, you're a person, you're a human being. You are the thing that they are trying to imitate. So remember that your creative practice, it holds value in itself, first of all. Just creating is extremely valuable. I talked about this last time, and I'll probably keep talking about it because I think it's very, very important to remember. Creating in itself is extremely valuable. It's one of the only things that holds true value. And basically, you will always be valuable because of that. As long as you keep on creating, you will be able to have value. And the artwork, the finished piece, it's just a remnant of the true product of that valuable act, which is you, the artist. And that is where I'm going to leave you. Thank you so much for watching this entire thing. And if you're interested in my newsletter, do check it out below. A lot more to come, and I'm really excited to be back on YouTube, and I'm trying to publish these weekly now. So I've cut back on editing a little, but I will slowly add editing back in and make these a little bit more fun. So if you liked the content, do stay subscribed, do check out my newsletter, do leave a comment and let me know what you thought. So I will see you next time.